Yeah. Yo, welcome to the Score. We're back with another podcast. It's been a while, very long while. Um, Unusual settings at the moment. Not in the studio. We're doing things remotely due to this coronavirus pandemic. But today, my guy Lufa, GS Training, joins me in our remote studio.
You know, no
What's
shit.
good, bro?
You gotta stay two meters away, mate. 2 meters away.
Oh, mate, yeah, we've got more than 2 meters away, mate. I'll tell you that. Especially with the times we live in now. But yeah, guys, make sure you follow my channel on YouTube, which is the score. Follow it on Twitter, which is YKTS Football. Follow me that personally, Shingy underscore London, so SHINGY underscore London. Follow the score on Instagram, which is YKTS Football as well. And my Twitter handle personally is the same as my Insta handle is the same. Luther, where can they find you, mate?
So I'm on Instagram, GST Training.
Mm,
You can find me on Facebook as well. Gorilla Strength Training Limited Ltd.
mm.
I'm on same on Twitter, Gorilla Strength Training, GST Training. And yeah, those are my handles at the moment.
That's good. That's good. That's good. But we're here to talk football. But first of all,
Indeed.
obviously, I saw you had this training program which Facebook said it was just what was it a deception or something? I read something about that earlier on your Instagram post.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is the campaign that I'm looking to, well, that I've started on Monday. And basically, what it is a challenge that I set out
Mm,
to five people that I'm looking to take on in order to lose £5 in 60 days.
mm,
And basically, for every pound that they lose,
mm.
I'm going to donate £2 to the NHS.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's brilliant, man.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah, we got to help our heroes, man. We got to
Yeah,
help our
no, we gotta
heroes. These
support
guys
them, man.
are,
They're
yeah,
keeping us alive,
indeed,
man, and
indeed, indeed, indeed,
they
indeed. And
actually
we're doing them a favor by keeping people out of hospital as well by looking after their health. So that's the main thing.
exactly. So for you people that are not taking this virus seriously, make sure you stay indoors, man. I know it's tempting with the sun's out, you want to get your cheeky little tan, and you want to you girls want to wear your maxi dresses and all of that. You want to go for walks in the park, but we have to ride this out. Stay at home, save lives, let the NHS do
Yeah,
their
hundred
job.
percent, man. Safety, man. Safety over
Yeah, man,
everything at the end of the
and
day.
hopefully we can get back to normal as soon as possible because I think in this moment in time, right now, the most thing that I look forward to doing is going to Sainsbury's or Tesco's.
Mate, I know what you mean. Honestly, right now it's like all those little things I take for granted. Going to the corner shop, just
Mm,
being able just to go outside in general, like all these little things, I've really taken it for granted. And now, like even I went out the other day
yeah.
to run some errands for my mum, and I was just walking around, just being like, "Wow, is this how amazing London is? Is this I never knew the
Yeah.
parks are this green." So I've been locked up this whole time, and especially where I've had symptoms recently, so I've pretty much spent this whole month in isolation.
Oh, that's good, man. At least you're following the guidelines, and hopefully you get better real soon. But moving on anyway, obviously
Yeah,
we're here to talk about football.
yes we are indeed. Yes we are indeed.
Obviously,
Football missing it.
yeah, and I think we've been without football for what is it?
Too
Just
long,
over a
man.
month now.
Yeah, too long, man.
Yeah,
Too
too
long.
long,
Too long. I've
too
pretty much
long.
seen every single replay of the playoff finals that Sky Sports have been sharing all the way from like
Yeah.
2010.
So,
I've been watching them
raw.
all, so I need to see something. I just because a lot of the time, pretty much football makes up a lot of what I watch on TV. I don't really watch a
Mm.
lot of TV, so right now it's like if where we got all the time in the world as well. It's just like I don't watch anything else really apart
I
from
don't
football.
likewise. I don't really watch anything else myself. It's just football, and then I'll either watch like Netflix series or
Yeah,
I'll
of
watch
course. Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah. As you do.
documentaries or do some research on YouTube. Like watching TV, it's just like,
Yeah, yeah. It's not a goggle
what
box. It's not. I wouldn't say I live a goggle box life. You know what I
yeah, yeah.
mean?
But yeah, I mean, obviously the main question in football right at this moment in time is should it be voided? Should the season be voided this season, or should it be extended? Should the governing bodies allow the Premier League to continue when it's safe to do so.
Yeah. And I remember we having a chat about this as well.
Mm.
Um, my decision still stands. I'd love it to go back on, but that's just me talking as a football enthusiast. So
Uh,
whether I'd completely understand if at the end of the day, like if they can't do it because this pandemic is just going to put too much stress on the NHS and it's just going to make things worse than rather than better, then it is what it is. I'd be more than happy to see them suspend it. But I just feel like with the amount of uncertainty, not only just from the government with
uh,
an exit plan, there's so much uncertainty from the football side of it as well, and that's what's making the anticipation, harder to take because we just don't really know what's going on, and it's hard to kind of express a point of view or have your own opinion
uh,
when there's no solution or there's even a sign of solution. So
uh,
we can sit here and go back and forth, but for as long if there's nothing to come out and say exactly what's going to happen or some sort of plan
uh.
to give us an idea of what's going to go on, then I don't really see much of a reason for it to continue on. To be honest.
Yeah, no, it's a difficult one. Obviously, I was saying before, logistically speaking, it's not possible, and obviously, you wanted me to elaborate on that as opposed to just saying, "Oh, it's logistically impossible."
Yeah, all the logistics.
Yeah, I mean, but reason why I brought the logistics into play is because there's so many variables which aren't going to benefit football clubs in general. Obviously, for football integrity, we'd like the season to go on, but the problem is number one for me is the player contracts. We've got players out on loan who need to return to their parent clubs. Players are out of contract at the end of the season, and if got my Jamie Carragher on there, but yeah, if players have to go back to their parent clubs on the 30th of June, some players are going to be out of contract. Some clubs are going to be left with depleted
Mm,
squads. You know, so if the season resumed after the 30th of June or continued past that point, some teams, could lose out on Champions Leagues because of the players that they've lost,
yeah,
end up
yeah,
being relegated,
yeah,
lose out
yeah.
on
Online and stuff.
Europa
Yeah,
League. So for me,
yeah,
that's one point. And whether or not the Premier League or UEFA are going to be able to extend players' contracts beyond the deadline is one variable in itself. Another
yeah.
variable for me is the amount of competitions that there are next year. We've got the Copa America, we've got
African
African
nations.
Cup of Nations, we've got the Euros, which has had to be extended to next year.
Yeah,
Um, we've even got a global sporting event in the Olympics, which has been
yeah,
extended to
the
next
Olympics.
year. So it's like,
Yeah,
how do you combine all of that? We also need to delay the Premier League season and restart it again.
yeah, yeah,
Logistically, how is that going to work? And
yeah. My argument to counter that was
mm,
to at least finish what we can now,
mm,
so that we have less to worry about next year. But where you've put a lot of things into perspective with regards to players that are going out of contract,
mm,
loans, and so on and so forth, then yeah, it makes life a lot difficult to then continue on because, like you
mm,
said, what's the point of carrying on? Like for us, we've got two players that we've got on loan that we've one not really even seen, and two, one of them's not even played yet. Even though he's going to be out of contract,
mm,
like it makes things even harder for us, even more so. And I say us, I'm an Arsenal fan.
mm.
It makes things even harder for us because again, it leaves us in an even more depleted situation than that we are in now. Like, so 100%, like I completely understand where you come from, especially now that you've explained it thoroughly. But
Mm,
again, like for me, I'd love it for them to carry on
mm,
because even when we look at, and I'm not an expert with regards to finances in the grand scheme of how the Premier League is going to be affected, but from what I've
mm.
seen, for the amount of money that they're going to miss out on, it's also hard for me to see how they would take steps forward if they were to void the Premier, if they were to completely suspend football now,
Yeah, no, you
because
make
like
a
you
good
said,
point
there's a
there.
lot of sorry.
No, you make a good point there because I read somewhere that Burnley looked set to lose out on 50 million if the Premier League doesn't resume. Now, I mean,
Yeah.
do you think the Premier League will create some sort of package for teams like Burnley or.
Well, that's the thing though. If they're looking to miss out on so much money,
Mm,
how can they now, fund anyone else? Especially where they're talking about helping clubs, like even going down to grassroots. It's like,
mm,
well, what do you expect them to do if you're gonna void the Premier? If you're gonna void football and people are gonna miss out,
mm,
it's even harder to now look at the so-called bigger clubs and be like, well, you still have to fork out an extra 40 million
mm.
to then help Scunthorpe. It's like, but Scunthorpe has nothing to do with you. So
Yeah.
it's for me. I kind of see it just having a little bit more. I don't want to say more sense, but it just. I feel like it would just run. Things will run a lot more smoothly
Mm,
if we were to just continue on, finish the league. This person finished here. This person finished there. Cool. Now we know. Okay. Now we've got a shorter pre-season. No one should really complain, especially where we've had so much time off now anyway. So
mm.
if we were to cram in an X amount of games in a short amount of time, it will actually do some benefits to some of these players for them to get match fit quicker, for them to be sharper a lot quicker as well. So, and even probably bring out some enthusiasm. Because I tell you what, mate, you pay me 200 bags, and now you're telling me I have to sit home and isolate. I wouldn't mind sitting home and isolating and getting 200 bags.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
God.
sorry,
Yeah, no, I was gonna say we'll get
yeah,
to players, being paid 200 bags a week and sitting on their asses doing nothing because there's a story that broke out. Well, I think it was today or yesterday about a
yeah,
particular player's salary, and
yeah,
he didn't want to take a pay cut. But we'll get to that shortly. But
yeah, 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 yeah,
continuing
yeah.
on, obviously, with the implications that um, this the Premier League not resuming will have on some clubs. Teams like obviously your Leicesters, your Sheffield United, your Wolverhamptons, they've all had very good seasons this year, especially Sheffield United coming up from the Championship. And they're in the Champions League race.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
obviously it would
imagine that.
be in their best interest to finish the season.
Yeah.
So
Well, I get where you're coming from. Just I get where you're coming from. Just because it is what it is when you're looking at it on paper. But
mm,
really and truly, like Sheffield United, they're not gonna make Champions League.
well, I mean,
You know,
you say that, but they're 2 points behind Wolves and Manchester United, um,
they are indeed. They are indeed.
with a game
But
in hand.
for me, looking at it, like I said, on paper, there's a lot of teams that are definitely looking to prosper in more ways than to what they probably imagined. But
Mm,
when you look at it realistically, Sheffield United, even if they make it into the Champions League, hooray for them, big injection of money. They're getting out in the group stages anyway. So it's just like when we look at like long term, these teams.
mm.
I guess I'm just trying to shoot them down because at the end of the day, I want to see Arsenal make Champions League. I don't want to see
Well,
anyone
I
else
mean,
make
it's been a
Champions
long
League
while, isn't it?
because it's been too long, mate.
It's been a long
But
while.
then at the same time, Sheffield United, yeah, fair enough.
Mm,
If they're, I'm sure for them, why not? You know what I mean? Imagine some of the biggest clubs in the world looking to go to Sheffield United. That would be a big experience for them. But equally, it's just like, for me, realistically, they're not going to make Champions League regardless. And we're still in March. These are what we're still looking at about 9, 10 games
Oh,
to
we're
go. So
April.
there's
April, damn it.
sorry.
It's April.
No, when the lockdown happened, it was in March.
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So there was still a lot. There was still quite a lot of games to go, and that's still
Mm,
including FA Cups, the other competitions as well. So things can go left, right, and centre. Before you know it, a team could be 2 points behind. Before you know it, now they're fighting relegation. So
mm,
it was still a lot of room for manoeuvre as opposed to it now. If this happened 5 games out
mm,
and Sheffield United are still 2 points behind, a top four place, then okay, we can argue and be like, you know what, these guys could probably get Champions League, but I
mm.
feel like there's just too much room to kind of too much margin to kind of say like, you know what, they were actually looking to go on into the Champions League. I personally don't think it would have happened.
Mm. Now, it's come out today that in Holland, in the Netherlands, they've suspended all sports performance until the 1st of September.
Oh wow,
Now, if the government took those measures now, well, in the next couple of weeks, and say we can't resume any sporting events until the 1st of September,
yeah.
and would you say the season needs to be voided at that point and Liverpool be gifted the Premier League?
yes to the first part.
Mm.
No, no, and I don't mean this in any malice towards Liverpool fans, but
Oh no, it's just unfortunate.
yeah, you need to win it. You need to win it. You need to win it from 38 games. This is not a
Mm.
thing where we kind of feel sorry for you because how would that be the case if Man City and Liverpool were matching on points? What we're going to give it to the person that's got the best goal difference. It makes no sense there. So
Mm.
unfortunately, they're just gonna have to bite their lips and just kind of get back into the next season and try to win it that way. Really, it's very very unfortunate. It's hugely unfortunate. If anything, I would have wanted Liverpool to win the league, get out of the way, and then it's up for grabs for everyone else. But it is what it is. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But 100%, I'd rather it if they were to say void the league, then void the league. It is what it is. If they say September 1st, there's no point to even try to continue things on to stretch it out to see
Mm.
what we can get done. Like, it just makes no sense. Just like the whole lockdown, they're not gonna now say, oh, we're gonna wait till this time. So
Mm.
everyone's gonna think, what? Let me just take the piss that little bit more. Lockdown's a lockdown. Stay at home.
Yeah,
Same
for
thing with
real,
football.
it's true. And I keep on saying to a lot of Liverpool fans, look, it's unfortunate, and I keep on using that word to them. It's logistically impossible for for the league to continue at this moment in time, and I don't think you should be giving the Premier League based on sentiment. Yes, I know they're 25 points clear, yeah, but you have to mathematically win the league to be called
Yeah,
champions. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, they may want to be called champions elect or what have you, but if you don't mathematically win the league, then how can you be given a trophy based on
yeah,
sentiment?
yeah,
Do you know what
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean? So basically, if that's the case, the season's voided, then teams have to be relegated based on their positions. And then, you have to grant teams uh, Europa League and Champions League based on the positions that they finish. But
But then that's the next argument though. It's like, and I guess obviously it's easy for me to say because we're not in Champions League.
mm,
But how would that then be fair for other teams to prosper or to even take a bigger loss than what they're already in? Because at the end of the day, if we're talking about fate,
mm,
Liverpool can also have that argument that, well, if we're 25 points clear, regardless of what happens, we should still always be gifted the league. If then now whoever's down at the bottom is going to get relegated.
it's true. I
And
mean,
that's where things make it even harder. That's why for me it's like I'd rather see the season through just
mm,
so we could get these answers, so we could get these questions answered.
mm,
Cool. This person's now relegated. This person's won the league. These are the people that finished in the top four. These are the
mm.
people that finished top five, top six. Obviously, what's going on with Man City, and then it is what it is. It is what it is. Everyone plays behind closed doors, and we just carry on with it. But again, with everything that's happening here in the UK, with how many people that are passing because of the virus every day,
mm.
it's just seeming harder and harder to even think how you're going to get 22 people in one place.
And it's not just 22 people. I mean, you've got obviously the medical staff that have to be on site,
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
police,
yeah. The ref,
obviously the referees, the ball boys,
yeah, managers, yeah,
and
subs.
the problem is, I think her name's Cassie Bingham on Talk Sport. She said, look, there are always going to be idiots out there,
Yeah,
yeah, regardless, that won't listen to the advice of the government. So if there's a football match behind closed doors, there's going to be a group of idiots that are going to gather out the stadium.
yep. And then when there's one, there's many.
Exactly, and we saw that happen. I think it was Dortmund versus PSG, and then the PSG fans were outside the stadium. Even
Oh right.
though even though the game was being played behind closed doors. Obviously it was a big game, and at that time we didn't know how serious the virus was. But
Yeah,
we look at things like that, and if let's say for example Liverpool are a game away from winning the league,
yeah. Oh, it's gonna be manic, mate.
you
Whole
think after
Liverpool's gonna be outside.
30 years, 30
Yeah, it's gonna be
seasons,
manic.
yeah, of waiting for the Premier League title, that no one's gonna come to the stadium.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And therefore, we won't be exercising any form of social distancing, which is why
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's very
Mate,
difficult.
look at. It seems like the only time you can get away with it is on a Thursday at 8 p.m. when everyone's clapping.
Or Westminster Bridge, innit?
Mate, on Westminster Bridge, the whole of London's over there clapping their arse away. And you know when if you're talking about that,
Mm,
and people are doing it with the best intentions. Don't get me wrong.
mm.
Now imagine a football game, something that pretty much 80% of the population in the UK watch. You know, the box parks, they're going to be full at like no tomorrow. And that's the whole thing. I was even seeing the other day, apparently they're saying that pubs are going to be the last thing to open once everything then starts to die down. And it
Mm.
makes complete sense. It
Yeah,
makes complete
absolutely,
sense.
absolutely.
Especially if they look to bring football out at that time, mate, it's
Because
going to be manic. It's going to be so, so manic.
didn't
So
they
100%.
before like it completely locked down? Weren't they going to people who've got season tickets or something like that? They were going to give him like a live streaming service or something like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You
Yeah,
know.
yeah. There was a lot of talk about that. Yeah, I remember. I
Mm.
remember. I remember. I remember.
Well, obviously we didn't realize how bad this situation was, but it remains to be seen. I mean, apparently, obviously, the Premier League officials and the UEFA officials continuously keep on having ongoing conference
How many
calls.
meetings have they had?
Uh,
And I just feel like no progress. No one's come out and been like, cool.
nah,
We've had this meeting. We're close to this. It's just very much like we've had this meeting. 20 Premiership teams still want to carry on the league. It's like, mate, we all want to carry on the league. We
mm,
know that.
we
We
know that.
know
Yeah,
that. What
exactly.
what
Football
are we doing
integrity.
to move forward?
Mm,
Like, what is the steps? Like, what can we as fans,
mm,
especially those that have got season tickets, those that were, that are heavily invested into the get into the club,
mm.
like what kind of what's the word I'm trying to look for? What assurance can you give them to at least know that, okay, cool, for all those matches that I've gone to, for all the merchandise that I've bought,
Mm.
what am I getting back during this time? Rather than just seeing these footballers in their mansions just trying to tell everyone, listen, it's going to be fine.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's true. Now moving on to football players and them sitting at home on 250k plus a week. Um, I'm glad you're on it because you're an Arsenal fan. Now,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I got a gist of who you're going to talk about.
you've got Ozil, mate. You've got Ozil.
Yeah, we got Ozil. Yeah, yeah. I've heard.
Absolute sensational player. Now, he's on 300k a week, 300 grand a week,
Yeah.
and he's refused to take a 12.5% pay cut.
Is that confirmed though? Is that confirmed?
Those are reports in it. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
allegedly he's refused
yeah,
to take a pay cut. Some of the players at your club have.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah.
I mean,
They said a small group from what I can remember when I read it on Sky Sports. They quoted a
yeah.
small group of players at Arsenal have refused.
Now, he does a lot of work for charity, Ozil. That shouldn't go unnoticed. And for some reason, when these tabloids like to sensationalize stories, they like to, put those things under the rug. What do
Yeah,
you
hundred
make of,
percent.
his, if he has done his decision not to take a pay cut in this current climate that we're currently in?
Yeah, mate, I can't really speak for him.
But in this day and age,
In mate, especially something like that, it could get frowned upon so quickly,
mm,
and it doesn't sit down well with anyone, especially now where we are in this pandemic and we should be helping one another.
mm,
Saying that, a lot of people are still very ready to stab you in the back. Um, especially where you look at the start of the pandemic, well, how many people are hoarding shops and leaving us all in disarray.
mm.
And now we're hearing about a footballer not wanting to take a pay cut. All of a sudden, he's the bad guy. So it is. I don't know, man. I don't know what to make of it. Like, it's all hearsay at the end of the day. So I don't want to add more fuel to an unnecessary fire.
And I could,
Um, but I could only assume if just to play on it, if that were to be the case, then I'm sure he would have had to have a. I think saying a valid reason is quite tedious, but it in his head, in it anyway, he would have thought it was valid to say no. It must have been for a reason. Now, whether this is to kind of force a move away from Arsenal, then I don't know, or whether this is now going to have that kind of effect where managers Arteta might look at him and be like, you know, listen, this guy needs to go. We need to bin him.
Mm.
Then
Well, they have a good relationship anyway, Arteta and Ozil anyway.
so
So
it seems, yeah, so it
mm,
seems. But the thing is, you think everyone else, you think Aubameyang's got a great relationship with Arteta, but he's still pretty much ready to go. So it's like nowadays
yeah,
behind closed doors, you don't really know what's going on.
no, it's true. But Piers Morgan came out on, was it Good Morning Britain, and was calling Ozil, selfish and greedy. He's just sitting at
Oh,
home doing
Piers
nothing.
Morgan, he's always got something to say.
Yeah, and he's like, why don't you take a pay cut? I want to know if Piers Morgan took a pay cut.
Hey, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if he didn't. Like
You know,
these these people nowadays, especially like I've noticed now that everything is on hold. You
mm,
know, people that are in the entertainment industry, they are just talking to say something. Like they're all bored. They have nothing to do. They have nothing to say.
mm,
So they're just gonna just yap. They're gonna yap, yap, yap. Because at the end of the day, that's what's gonna give them more coverage. That's what's gonna give them more exposure.
it's true.
And at the end of the day, that's why they're in the business. You
Mm.
know, like
It's like
mate,
Souness,
I don't
isn't it?
know.
You responded
Yeah,
to
he's
Pogba's
always
comments
got
for,
something to
for no
say.
reason.
Him,
The guy he woke up
mate.
in the morning at 9 a.m. to go on Sky Sports to say, yeah, well, show us your medals.
Mate, honestly, it's like it's a yeah, it's a joke, man. A lot of these guys, like I said, I think they're bored. I don't think
Mm.
they know what they. I don't. I think they're bored. Yeah, they're just bored and just want to make stuff up and just continue on with it.
No,
It
you
just
do
makes no
you
sense.
do make a good point because they're bored because every day in their normal lives, usually everything is put on a plate for them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
They get given schedules by their employers. This is what you have to do. This is where you need to be. You'll be picked up at this place. They'll be chauffeured here, there, and everywhere. And
yeah,
all of a sudden, they're just normal people now sitting in their houses, really. And the only thing that they can do is a remote podcast like we're doing right now. So
yeah,
they're in
yeah.
the
And
thing.
even then, they're just talking nonsense. They're
Mm.
just talking absolute nonsense. I've seen something like the other day they were talking about Sancho. I don't know who it was. I think it was Paul Merson. And he was saying something like he needs to release the ball quicker or something like that. And I'm just like, mate, you're not even a bad boy. You was even a bad boy baller in your time, mate. Like you
Mm.
was all right. Like, but anyway, like I just feel like these guys are just they're bored, man. They're bored. They don't know what to talk about.
Mm.
They just pick a topic and just see how far they can go with it, and then just try to move on to something else. You know, everyone's bored, and I get it. Like I get it, but just be honest with it. You know, if you've got nothing to say, then just say nothing rather than just being like, you know what? Oh, really? Oh man, and just blabbing,
Mm.
talking a bunch of
Because I
nonsense.
want to I want to bring out a few articles here about what Ozil's done,
Yeah.
for charity. So he was honoured for his charity work. Won the public prize, part of the German football ambassadors project, which also recognised Jurgen Klinsmann and Thomas Hitzelsberger.
Okay.
Um, Also, he donated wedding dinner to feed 16,000 homeless people. He donated his World Cup prize money as well.
Oh wow.
Yeah, people don't know that. So people don't talk about those things. Obviously, they they are documented, but I feel like like you said, these tabloids and these journalists, they're bored and they just want to pick out small things for the sake of being relevant. And people should acknowledge that he's doing charity work. Um, we don't know the ins
Yeah.
and outs of why he did not decide to take a pay cut.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
At
Yeah.
the end of the
Yeah.
day,
Exactly.
it's
So
his decision.
let's find that out first. You know,
Mm.
if rather than just listening to rumors and straight away just being like, oh, God, it's so selfish. Like, mate, what have you done? What have you done?
Yeah,
What have
exactly.
you done? You know, and it's like with the whole Souness and Pogba beef. It's like,
Mm.
I bet Pogba was waking up and still thinking, bloody hell, this guy's still talking about me. What have I done? What have I personally done
Mm.
to Souness?
And the thing is, you know what's interesting? Someone put up a tweet earlier today and said, if Ozil did agree to a wage cut, right, where is that 12.5% going? Where is it
Yeah,
going?
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah,
he's already
yeah,
paying what the high end tax is around
yeah,
what 40% tax already. So his
yeah,
tax is already going into the system
yeah,
already. So for him to take a 12.5% pay cut, where is that? That's
yeah,
what I would
yeah,
like to know. Like, have the club
yeah,
given him assurances that it's going here? maybe he didn't. And the thing is, maybe he didn't want to take a pay cut because he wants his money to be used to the charities that he's already investing in, and that's what people
Yeah,
need to take into consideration.
yeah, 100%, 100%. And funny you say that because when I saw that article this morning,
Uh,
that thought actually just ran in my head a little bit, just a little bit.
uh,
Because I was thinking, wait, why are they taking a pay cut in general? Because at the end of the day, no money's coming in, but then no money's coming out. And all right, fair enough, you still got to pay people,
uh,
but things should already be put in place to then have funds to pay people. It's not as if like now, okay, cool. We were hoping that we have to fill out stadiums every day, that we need to make sure that we're, you know, all our other sponsors are making sure that their payments are in time.
uh,
Everyone's in the same position. So for them to take a pay cut, and I saw something that was to do with they took a pay cut to lighten the burden of the losses that they were gonna encounter because
uh,
of this, because of the virus, and that's what made me then think, all right, cool, fair enough, they've got a reason behind it.
uh,
But yeah, like you said, you know, and for it to be like to be so precise at 12.5%,
uh.
it's like, well, is that even is that even necessary? You know, to Ozil, you know, if you put 12.5% to 300 grand,
uh.
mate, that might be just about 5-10K. So he's looking at it like, why am I gonna now lose on that? There's no point.
Yeah, no, it's true. And do you think that recommendation came from the club itself, or do you think that came from the government? Because obviously that politician, Matt Hancock, he started all of this by coming out and
Yeah,
saying players should take a 30% pay cut, and obviously players were feeling attacked by the politicians, and I think the players came together to create their own fund towards the NHS and stuff like that. So
That was a whole what's his name Henderson thing, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. So I'm starting to, for me, I'm starting to think that maybe um, the Premier League have tried to say to the clubs, okay, you don't have to make it 30%. You can cut it to 12.5%. Do you think maybe
Yeah.
they had an input in saying that, or Matt Hancock probably had a little word with the top officials at these Premier League football clubs?
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I
Uh,
wouldn't be surprised because all of a sudden he became quite a prominent figure for trying to understand the financial situation in the Premier League. Like,
uh,
and that's why I was kind of counter attacking what you were saying when you were talking about logistics. I was like, wait, this guy's coming out saying that they're gonna miss out on 3 billion and
uh,
XYZ.
uh,
Because I've never seen this guy before in my life. Then all of a sudden now he walks out of a courtroom and he's the most talked about person in media when it comes to football.
uh,
So I wouldn't be surprised if the Premier League just probably thought, you know what, don't worry about him too much. This is what you can do. Because obviously you had Liverpool that were, you know, getting a bit of bad press with regards to, you know, furloughing a lot of their staff,
uh.
and now they've reversed that. So I think something, like I said, something's happening behind closed doors that we don't really know about, and whatever decision they take to move forward, you know, I can assure you, like 99.9%, it's for the benefit of all parties.
Yeah,
You know,
it's true.
whether we're in that party or not,
Uh.
it's for the benefit of whoever's at the round table. You know what I
No, but
mean?
I mean,
I don't.
like you said, obviously everybody's in the same situation right now. You know,
Yeah,
we all can't do anything. It's not, restricted to one particular industry or one particular club, or, you know, you're self-employed, so obviously you're feeling the effects probably more so than people that are have been put on furlough. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
yeah.
I mean, for politicians to come out here and start pointing the fingers at certain players and clubs and things like that, I don't think that's fair. And people like Piers
No,
Morgan pointing fingers here and there because we're all in this
but
together.
that's what it causes, though.
Mm,
That's the ripple effect. Is as soon as one person says something,
mm,
and another person agrees with it, all of a sudden now you have a movement of, I'm not saying movement of negativity, but you got a movement of an opinion that's now being strongly considered because there's now more people that feel the same way,
mm,
or have that same value. You
mm,
know, and that's what makes life even harder because anyone else tries to counteract that. All of a
mm,
sudden, it's like you're the minority, you're the person that wants to keep all the money, or you're the person that don't want to see things move forward
mm.
because we have 10 people here that are all saying void the Premier League, but us five, strength in numbers, we can't now battle with 10.
Mm,
even though our points may be more valuable, or maybe more valuable, excuse me, or
mm.
more valuable in that sense as well. Unfortunately, there's 10 people to five,
Yeah,
and
it's
that's the
true.
issue that comes across. Where I was seeing a woman I've never seen before on Sky Sports talking about football is not the only thing people care about, X, Y, Z, no. It's like, see, now you've gone too far. Now you're trying to value certain things against
Exactly.
others,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and we're not
yeah.
trying to do that, because at the end of the day, a lot of people come out and be like, "Well, what's the point of cricket going on?" And it's like, what? No one gives no one gives a rat's ass about cricket. Oh,
Yeah.
rugby. No one cares about rugby. No,
Mm,
no, no. Rugby's the most like physical sport there is.
mm,
How dare that even come back? And
mm.
then see this whole thing then just starts to unfold, and all we wanted to know was, is the Premier League going to start, yes or no?
Yeah. But I think that's the nature of people in this country anyway. The way we are, it's all about pointing fingers and making comparisons and judging people. I think that's an indictment on how we are as a people
Yeah, yeah,
in this
yeah.
land we call the
Unfortunately, yeah, it's
UK.
very unfortunate.
Mm. But moving on anyway, I'm going to leave that there.
Yeah.
I mean, your man, a legend, was in the spotlight this week. I'm not too sure why he kind of went viral, but people seem to have been talking about him a lot. And it's a
Is
man that's inspired you in your heyday when you was a footballer. And that man is Mr. Je ne sais quoi, Thierry Henry.
what's he done now?
I have no idea. I mean, he was in me being a presenter. I should know, but I just saw a lot of people, talking about him, making comparisons to Alan Shearer. Um, in one of my groups, I was like, if I wanted to build a striker around anybody, the template I would use is Thierry Henry.
Yeah,
Is Thierry Henry. I
yeah.
think he's been, he was an exceptional player. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on Thierry Henry, um, and what he meant to you.
Oh, mate, what is there to say? Incredible player.
Mm,
Um, Definitely revolutionized my way of having to be so calm and composed in front of goal.
mm,
I've always say this. My favorite player of all time was Ronaldo, and I'm talking about the R9, not the Cristiano. And with him, it was very much built on talent. Like when I was growing up looking at Ronaldo, I was just thinking, I just need to be sick.
mm,
Like my level of talent needs to exceed anyone else in order for me to be better, to be a better footballer.
mm,
And then as Henri started coming about, there was little qualities that I started to look on a little bit more. The arrogance, the composure and the presence that he had being a striker. Because usually you kind of find centre backs, midfielders are the ones that have more presence, and the strikers are the ones that just pretty much are there to finish chances, and that's it.
mm.
But you look at the team. A lot of the times I would make sure Henry's the name that I see first, because if I saw his name, more than none will win the game, and that was something that was definitely a big impact for me when I was then playing football later on. As obviously Ronaldo started to retire and then enjoy life a little bit more, started putting on weight.
Mm.
Definitely Henry was the next in line for
Yeah, he
me
was hitting the
to kind
Coco
of watch
Cabana,
and
innit?
enjoying a
uh,
few sambas.
yeah, man, definitely.
So Henry is definitely next in line for me to kind of like educate myself on, and
Mm.
definitely learn from, because he was an unbelievable player. I still remember the day like it was yesterday when he left, and I was fuming.
I can imagine.
And then I think a couple of days later he then like did his whole interview and
Mm.
explained why he left, and I was literally like borderline
I
tearing.
can imagine. I can imagine.
Because it meant so much to me, and I didn't realize at that time that he had such an effect on me, just watching him, and just seeing this footballer, going from nothing to something. And
Mm.
yeah, it was definitely a big inspiration when I was younger.
I'm gonna throw this debate out there. I'm gonna put this on the table. Now, there are some in one of my group chats that were saying there was a debate to be had about who the better striker was, Alan Shearer
Between
or
Okay,
Thierry Henry
okay,
in the Premier League.
okay,
Now, one of my friends was saying that there's a lot of variables that we need to factor in here because obviously Shearer, he was playing for Newcastle United, Blackburn
Yeah, bro.
Rovers, Southampton. So
Yeah,
he was playing with players not of the same caliber as Thierry Henry,
yeah,
but still managed to get 260 goals.
yeah. Which is a feat. Which is a feat
Mm.
in itself. Which is crazy. Yeah, it's crazy.
But obviously Henry, he did light up the Premier League and probably the best player to ever grace the Premier League. If not, definitely he's in the top three or top five in my opinion.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, 100%, 100%.
Obviously you're an Arsenal fan, so there may be a bit of bias there. But would you say there's a debate to be had between the two, and who was the better striker?
Yeah. Um, this is the thing. This is the thing. Like, I'm fighting temptations just to be like, of course, Henry's better. But at the same time,
Mm.
like you said, when you look at someone that didn't play, they didn't have the Burkamps, they didn't have Vieiras, they didn't have, the Sol Campbells, the Laymans, the people that also reassured no goals went in to
Mm.
allow you to score more goals going forward. You know, it's an incredible feat. For what Alan Shearer done, it was insane. Was insane, and the influence that he had on British players as well is something to admire.
Mm.
Because at the end of the day, since Alan Shearer, we can't really sit down and say is there going to be another English striker. Obviously, people will say Kane, but there's not many that have come after him. And even if we do mention Kane, what Rooney and Kane, those are probably the only two people that come to mind. That if we talk about British English
Goals,
have some of that.
longevity as well.
These are the only two guys that I see that were of that kind of caliber. Of that same quality
Mm.
when we're talking about strikers.
Mm.
Whereas with Henry, same again. There's not many strikers that have come since him that we can say, oh mate, he's going to be the next Henry.
Mm.
Aguero is probably the closest striker that I would say that could probably level both of them. But again,
Mm.
they both scored. Wait, who's the top goal scorer now? Wasn't it Aguero? Or Aguero is the top most? He scored more goals foreign.
He,
He's the most.
I think he scored the most goals out of the foreign players that have played in the
Yeah,
Premier League. I
yeah,
don't want to obviously say that's true, but I think that is
yeah.
the
Because I
case.
remember there was a
However,
landmark he did, and it
mm,
was it was it was of that nature where he did better than Henry. And I remember people talking about. I can't remember if it was actually true.
mm,
But going back to what we were saying with Henry and Alan Shearer, I'd say Henry edges it, and it's
mm,
not because I'm an Arsenal fan, but it's just what Henry brought to the game. Like he
mm.
made everyone wanna score by opening up the body and trying to put him bottom corner.
Yeah, man. I mean,
You know,
when I was in school, it's just it's the way you just do that open
caress
body. It
it,
just
just
made it look
pass it,
so nice, and you just pass it into the back of the net, and
just
you just
pass it in the back
celebrate
of the
like
net.
so
Yeah,
cool,
it gave
like
the
a
keeper
Frenchman
no
would.
chance. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah,
I,
yeah, yeah, yeah. And even just the pace, you know,
uh,
because even then, no one was, no one would ever thought about having fast forwards. It was like you're either strong, you can get a header in there, or you can
yeah,
smash it. You-
uh,
We didn't think about playing a through ball and someone being quick, someone getting behind the
it's
defense. We
true.
never thought
Mm,
about intelligent kind of strikers of that mentality. It was very
mm,
much just like I'm just gonna tap it in. I'm just gonna
uh,
get a header in the corner, and that was really
uh.
much about it. Whereas when
Now,
Henry came through, it was very much like now we've got the number 10. The number 10
yeah,
is now a lot more pivotal because we have more assists rather than just
uh,
looking at wingers to just put the ball in the box.
it's true. Now, obviously, at the time, Henri, yeah, everyone was saying he was world class. Top player, playing in international tournaments and doing these things. Would you have regarded Alan Shearer as world class as well?
100%.
Mm,
Yeah, 100%.
mm.
100%. Because, mate, you don't score 260 goals. You don't score 260 goals and not be world class, especially at the
Yeah,
big stage. If this was
mm,
in the Scottish League,
yeah, yeah.
then I'd be like, maybe not. No disrespect to the Scottish League, obviously,
Mm.
or in League One, then.
Yeah, no disrespect, but
But
yeah.
this is the Premier League. This is the biggest stage, and
Mm,
even then, it was still rivaling the La Ligas and the Italian leagues.
mm.
So, 100%, 100%. Alan Shearer world class, 100%,
Yeah,
100%.
definitely.
Because we can't
Because
say Harry Kane's world class and not say Alan Shearer's world class.
No, it's true, and I was just about to get on to a very good point. Is that I think I've got it here. Apparently, Xavi came out and said that in England, right, you do something for a small period of time, you're called world class.
Yeah,
We're too
yeah,
easy
yeah.
to throw out that word. But obviously, in at Barcelona, you had to ensure that you was on point and did it for a long period of time.
Mate,
And I
how
think
many
that's
players? Yeah,
I think
how
that's
many
that's the
players in
problem we
Barca
have in this
came and
country.
gone? And
Mm,
we all thought, oh my god, these guys are going to be the next best thing. And
mm,
2 games later, all of a sudden, end of the season, they're shipped off. They're gone
mm.
on loan, and then 5, 6 loans later, mate, they've come back and they've just not made the grade. So 100%, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, no, it's crazy because obviously we've gone from like forwards like Thierry Henry, Alan Shearer back in the day, see Van Nistelrooy, Bergkamp, Andy Cole, world class strikers um, who did it in Europe um, on the
For the
national
nation,
level as well.
yeah,
And then now in moving forward now, obviously we've got players that have done it for a shorter period of time and being labelled world class. Now,
yeah.
is that something that we need to kind of like stop giving players the gratitude, too much gratitude?
Yeah.
Do you think?
Um. Yes, 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 and no.
Mm,
And I say yes for obvious reasons. You know, we don't want to have all these footballers thinking that they've achieved so much at such a young age when they have
mm,
nothing to show for it. Because nowadays it's more so about how much they're getting paid and who they play for that matters more so to their trophy cabinet. It
mm,
matters more so to what they've actually given to the team.
mm,
However, at the same time, it is definitely a good confidence boost to make someone up their levels even more, you know.
mm,
And that definitely shouldn't be taken away from the game to not, you know, kind of give credit where it's due,
mm,
but we have to watch out how much credit we give
mm,
to these players because you look at the Lingards, the Wilshires, Ramses. Well, Ramsey's a little bit more older now, but we look at some of these players, and at one point we all was blown away by what they've done, and we were thinking these guys are going to be the next best thing. Barkley, I was even seeing the other day there was that guy that he went from Southampton to no, was it Southampton? No, Sunderland to Rodwell, Jack
Rodwell.
Rodwell.
Oh yes, yes,
You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
he was another one where it's like, what happened to him? And we could literally sit down here and just name so many unforgotten players that at one point of their careers, they were touted to be, some of the best players to have ever graced the Premier League, and
Mm,
where are they now?
it's true.
So there's definitely silver lining to how much credit we could give to players,
Mm,
but at the same time, I wouldn't want to see that taken away completely.
for real, I hear that. Now, just to finish off, obviously we were talking about Thierry Henry. Um, can you name me three of your most favorite goals of Thierry Henry? Three of Henry's best.
Gosh, there's so many. I guess for how they, I don't want to say they affected me emotionally because that's quite corny to say,
Mm,
but I remember these goals because like what it meant and how I was celebrating like crazy. The first one that comes to mind was the goal against Real Madrid in the new camp.
oh yeah, yeah.
I remember my heart was pounding because obviously Ronaldo, the Galacticos, and I'm just
Mm,
like, we're gonna get Muller riced. And for him to score an iconic goal like that was second to none. Um, Now, if I was to say two more, obviously Man United, that was a great goal.
the flick
Saying that
over
though,
Barthez.
yeah, over Barthez, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Saying that though, I don't remember watching the game because I must have been about 8 or 9, so
Mm,
it doesn't resonate to me too much. But when I see it over clips and stuff like that, like it's still an insane goal to score.
yeah.
And I guess another goal that I would say, oh God, I'm sure people will be watching this and be screaming out all the other goals that he scored.
Mm.
Goal against Liverpool
Oh,
when
when.
Fabregas put him through. Fabregas put him through.
uh,
First time, just finished it. And I remember I was seeing my dad straight after that game. And I think my dad
yeah.
might have been waiting for me. but it was two. I think it was 2-2 or 1-1, and that was the winner.
Mm.
And I was late to see my dad that day. I remember my dad was like, "What's going? What's going?" Like, Dad, like, missed it. Henry scored the best goal.
Mm.
So those at the moment, not to say that that's cemented as my top 3 goals, but those are the ones that come to mind that definitely made me. That kind of has quite a big feeling for me, quite special to me.
I
I'd
think
say.
for me, 3 of my favorite honorary goals. It's weird that I'm saying this because obviously when he was playing, he was one of our rivals. I
Yeah.
think one of them is the goal against Spartak Moscow.
Well, when he controlled it with that
With,
side of the foot.
oh, the touch,
Yeah,
the
yeah,
touch,
yeah. That
the
was ignorant.
invention.
That was ignorant. That was like 1,000% ignorant Henry. That was
Nah,
Super Saiyan ignorant Henry.
it really took the piss. Yeah, it was just the touch. It was
I
the
don't think
flick
that was
cheek.
that was around a period where he wasn't even celebrating. That's how like
Mm.
he was at that level where he didn't even celebrate his goals. I remember that Henry. That was a
Mm.
great goal.
And then there was one against, I think it was Blackburn. I think the ball
What, the
came.
first time and he just hit it, barred it.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
hit and went
yeah,
top bins. He went top bins, and I think one that I can remember is I think the one against West Ham at Upton Park. He was wearing the blue O2 top, and he just banged it.
I don't really remember that one.
You'll remember that if you put it on, if you type it in on
Yeah,
Google, you'll remember that
yeah,
goal, and you'll be like, oh yeah, I remember that goal.
yeah,
I
yeah,
remember that
yeah.
goal.
Yeah,
But
I wouldn't
yeah,
be
no,
surprised.
yeah,
I
those are
wouldn't
the
be
probably
surprised.
3 that I can remember. Obviously, you had a few against Man United. I'm not gonna put those on there, right?
You don't want to
But
go
yeah,
there, yeah.
but yeah,
But you
those.
know what? Funny, I'm
Mm,
just gonna say quickly,
mm,
talking about Henri. I remember actually seeing a quote, or someone had quoted basically the rivalry between him and Van Nistelrooy back in the day,
mm.
and it said that apparently Van Nistelrooy, he was so obsessed with scoring goals.
Yeah,
As soon as the match was done, if we were playing, he would check to see if Henri scored,
yep,
and if he scored, he wouldn't talk to no one.
yep. Because I think
He
there was,
wouldn't
I
talk to
think
no one for time because
three,
he was so obsessed with finishing top goal scorer.
I think 2 seasons he lost out to Henri by 1 goal, and there was only one
And these
season.
guys,
There was only one season that Van Nistelrooy had pipped Henri to the Golden Boot. So I mean,
oh right,
obviously, yeah. So when I was younger, obviously I was lying to myself. I used to say Van Nistelrooy was better, and I was being biased. I was supporting Man United, but deep down I knew Henry was the better, more
yeah,
complete player. And it used to just frustrate me how when Van Nistelrooy would score, Henry would score. You know what I mean? Or like when
yeah.
Henry would, if Arsenal were playing first, Henry would score, and then I'd be thinking, Van Nistelrooy, you've got to score, man. You've got to score. No, you have to score. Like
Yeah,
you need to
yeah.
get this golden boot. And I guess obviously you could potentially say that Van Nistelrooy probably brought out the best in Henri as a
And
competitor
vice
at that
versa.
particular top point in time, and
Yeah,
and
yeah,
vice versa. Yeah, 100%,
yeah,
100%.
yeah. But it was a rivalry that was very different to Messi and Ronaldo in the
Mm,
aspect of like you're looking at form, you're looking at how they're playing, what they've done on the pitch. If
mm,
Ronaldo scored a hat trick, but if they're all tap-ins, no one would really care.
mm,
There would need to be free kick top corner, mad header where he's jumped over the whole bloody stadium for him to reach.
mm.
Whereas with Henry and Van Nistelrooy, it's very much on goals. That's all people cared about. That's all.
Yeah.
Henry it could have came off his back. It could have came off his ear. It could have
Mm,
hit Van Nistelrooy in his chin. Cool. If Henry finished in 15, Van Nistelrooy finished in 14, mate, Henry's better. Van Nistelrooy could have scored 14 absolute screamers.
mm.
Henry scored more goals, and that's what's so unique about their rivalry at that time
Yeah.
because it's not been the same since. It's not been the same since. These guys are scoring 30 goals in the league, in the Premier League,
Mm.
whereas now you'll be lucky enough to get 15.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
20. What Aubameyang won, and he tied with Mane and Salah, excuse me, last year, and it was
Mm.
21 goals.
Yeah, it's a different kind of rivalry in this day and age. I mean,
It's not the same. Yeah,
nah,
it's
it's
not
not
the
the
same. I
same.
don't think. I don't think any strikers hit 30 goals in the Premier League
Mm.
for a very long time. I think Kane was close one season, but that's pretty much about it.
Mm. Well, Luther,
Now it's
anyway.
very much like across all competitions. No one's
Mm.
really focusing on that Premier League. It's just like, oh, across all competitions you score 30 goals.
Yeah, it's true. It's
But
true.
it's 11 in the league. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, Luke, thanks for joining me this evening,
Nah, it's a pleasure, mate. It's a
guys.
pleasure.
Thanks for locking in. So you know the score.
Indeed.
Make sure you follow the channel. So subscribe to the channel. I need the subscribers, need the support. Follow the Instagram. YKT is football. Follow me on Instagram, which is Shingy_London. The Twitter and Instagram handles for myself and the channel is the same on Twitter as well. Thank you to my guest Lufa. Once again,
Pleasure,
where can
mate.
they
Pleasure.
find you and enlighten them about what you do?
Yeah, so personal trainer, 9 years now. I'm also a competitive powerlifter. I've been doing that for the last 4 years. If no one knows what powerlifting is, it's just basically a sport that consists in bench, squat, and deadlift. You have 3 attempts to kind of work up to the heaviest weight that you can lift, and then they'll make up a total, and that total then goes up against whoever you're up against in your category, going both in weight and also age. In terms of where you can find me, again, like I said, good strength training, as you can see on the top. It will be the same on
I'm on.
all handles apart from GST training, or GS training, I should say, rather. That would be both on Twitter and Instagram, and then Gorilla Strength Training, as you can see here on the top. That will be on my Facebook.
My G. Been a pleasure though. Anyway, thanks for
Nah,
joining
mate,
me this
thanks for
evening. I
having
mean,
me on, man. Thanks for
this
having me,
this
bro.
is all we can do right now, boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, indeed, guys. Stay safe, man. Stay safe. Stay at
Virtual
home.
reality, but yeah,
Follow the
stay at home.
guidelines,
Mm.
and hopefully we can get out of this sooner rather than later, man.
Sooner rather than later, and hopefully football can come back soon, man. To bless our TV screens once again, man. We're suffering
Indeed,
right now.
indeed,
But
indeed,
you know the score, and we're out. Bless.
indeed.